Constitution clearly states that all land belongs to the citizens of Uganda. More on this on YPA TV this Tuesday at 9 a.m. program Legal Matters with me, Kansonisima Gloria. Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome back to the only informative show, which is the Legal Matters with me, Kansonisima Gloria here. I thank you so much for being here, for supporting us and watching all our previous shows. We're really grateful. I would really love you to keep watching, get informed about the legal matters, come and know about your rights. So today, as I told you, that land law is a very broad section of the law. Like, there is a lot that is engraved in land law, you cannot really dissect it in one day. So today I'm bringing you another episode about land law, and today we're going to discuss something different and something so interesting, so please don't miss this. So the last time, as we had on the last episode, we had really broken down the rights, like I had mentioned, I had mentioned in the Constitution that all land belongs to the citizens of Uganda, and this land can be owned in forms of land tenures. And the land tenures, what do I mean by a tenure? A tenure is more like the manner or the nature in which you can hold land, and there are different kinds of land tenures. We have the Milo land tenure, we have the freehold land tenure, and we have the leasehold, and as well as the customary land tenure. Like, I'd broken them down last time. So in case you missed that show, please go back. You should go and watch it so that you can know where we are at with the land law. Yes, there is a lot to look at in land law and land ownership, so I wouldn't want you to miss that particular episode. So like I had mentioned in that previous episode, that there's so many different kinds of laws that govern land, and these are the Registration of Titles Act, we have the Land Act, and we also have, there are quite many, we have the Landlord and Tenant Act. So we shall have a particular episode on that, because I know there are so many landlords out there, and we also have so many tenants if you're renting somewhere, so that will be a very good episode for you. And then we also have the Mining Act, for those who are interested in mining and know how you can venture into the minerals industry. Also, that is all part of the land law. Yes. So today I have a hot and interesting topic for you, my dear viewers, and it's to do with the interest in land. Yes. So please pay attention. So interest in land. What do I mean when I say interest in land? Legally, if you have an interest in land, if you have an interest in something, regardless of it being land, if you have an interest, let's say in property, in a car, that means you have, this means legally, it means you have a duty, you have a right, you have a liability in this particular thing. Yes, it has, like, there is a duty connected with this property, there is a right connected with this particular land. So that's what I mean by when I say you have an interest in land. And there are so many. We have two types of interests in land. We have the legal interest, and we also have the equitable interest. So when I talk about the legal interests here, we have so many examples of the legal interest. We have the mortgage, we have the lease, we have anything that shows that you actually have a right in this particular property, or a right in this particular land. Yes. So when you look at the legal interest, this one is the interest that is expressly recognized under law. Yes. So I had earlier explained in the last episode that when you have a title, this is where, like, you've gone through the process of registering your land and you've now acquired a title. That's the interest that is recognized by law. In other words, this interest is impeachable. Yes. So when you have a legal interest, that's where you've gone through the process, you've signed the agreement of sale, you've gone through the process of transferring the land into your names, and now you're the recognized proprietor of this land. Yes, so that's the one that is called the legal interest. So in other words, it's very important that you go ahead and register this property, because when you register it, let's say there is someone coming to bring a claim against that ownership of land, you cannot easily be defeated. Yes, because your title is it's conclusive evidence that you're actually the owner of this land. When you look at the Registration of Titles Act, it clearly states that you can own this land free of any other unregistered interest on this land. In other words, when you're registered as the owner of this land, let's say someone is taking you to court, they're claiming ownership of this land, and you have your title, you have more advantage over this other person. Yes, so that's why I would encourage you. Let's say you want to purchase land in the near future, or you already have land and you haven't yet registered this particular piece of land, you should go ahead and go through that process and acquire your land title, because it can save you a lot of money. Let's say you're going to court, because the moment you present your title, you have a higher recognition, because in the law it shows more it's the evidence that you can actually prove, that you can actually bring that you own this particular piece of land. So please make sure, let's say you've acquired your piece of land, emphasize that this person who has sold to you the land, the vendor, signs those transfer forms, and you go ahead and make sure that this title is registered. Yes, the procedure of registering this is so easy, so I would encourage everyone to go through this procedure. So in other words, you approach your lawyer, you bring your documents, the signed land sale agreement, you present a passport photo, your passport photo, and that of the some of the requirements that are needed. You present your passport photo, you present the passport photo of the purchaser, and then also the transfer forms. Make sure there is your signature, and also the vendor has signed on these transfer forms. And then you're also going to pay stamp duty, because under the law you're supposed to pay tax while you're purchasing this land. So you pay tax, stamp duty, which is, I think, like 1.5%, if I'm not mistaken, or it's 0.5%. So you have to make sure that you pay this tax to the government. Be a good citizen. Yes, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And then you also have to pay registration fees. Yes, so that's the procedure of how you can register your land title. Yes, so if you're out there and you want to know how to transfer your land, please just reach out to Cansonisima Gloria. I'll give you more information on how to get your land registered. Yes, so that's really how the legal interest works, the legal interest in land. In other words, this is registered. So if someone has registered, let's say, a mortgage on that on your title, that interest is recognized under law. Yes, in case you fail to pay that loan and then you sell off that property, definitely the bank will come and sell that property regardless of you selling it, because they registered a mortgage. A mortgage was registered on your title, so it's recognized under the law. And you have to make sure that before you do any transactions, you've done the due diligence to make sure that there is no other registered interest on this title. In other words, someone might have registered a lease on this title and you're not even aware. So you have to do all the due diligence before purchasing any title. Okay, purchasing land that is titled. Yes. So you have to make sure that there are no encumbrances, and the encumbrances, these are the mortgages, these are the leases. Someone may have leased out this land without even informing you, and you're here purchasing this land without knowing. So you have to go back and do that background check. Like I mentioned earlier, that land is not like any other product, or it's not like any other good. It's not like vegetables that you're going to purchase anyhowly. So you have to do the background checks. You have to make sure that what you're purchasing is genuine land. Yes, and here at YPA we have very good and genuine plots of land. Please don't fail to come and approach us for a good plot of land. You're going to get your certificate of title as soon as you purchase this plot of land, and you won't regret. So a big shout out to all my clients out there who are good and loyal customers of YPA. So yeah, that's the legal interest in land. And then the other category of interest in land, the other type, is the equitable interest. So for the equitable interest, what do I mean? This is the one that is created by an agreement, or let's say operation of the law. Let's say you've entered a contract of sale of land. This is where, like, I sell to you land, and then we enter a land sale agreement. So in other words, you've carried out you've entered the enforceable contract. However, you've not fulfilled all the legal obligations. And what do I mean by this? Yes, you've entered this land sale agreement, you've entered the contract. However, you've not gone ahead to transfer this title into your names, to transfer the land, into your names. So you've just entered a land sale agreement, or you've entered the contract. However, you're supposed to go ahead and make sure that the vendor signs transfer forms, and you enter you enter your names on that certificate of title. So if you don't go through that whole process, you've only acquired an equitable interest in this land, and this interest is going to affect you a lot, because under the law it's not really recognized. Yes, you own this land because already the contract has passed that ownership. However, you're supposed to go ahead and fulfill the legal obligation of ensuring that you go ahead and acquire your land title. Otherwise, you're going to face a lot of consequences in case someone comes to impeach your title. Yes. So we shall take a short break, and we shall be back with more.
nga bulijjo amanya nze ng'ategeera sigenda suukawo ojja kukugamba nti omwana wo ku Outspan Nursery and Primary School babeere nga bamubangula afuuke omuntu
kuva mu YPA.
Land is the most valuable asset on planet Earth. The 1995 Constitution clearly states that all land belongs to the citizens of Uganda. More on this on YPA TV this Tuesday at 9 a.m. program Legal Matters with me, Kansanissima Gloria. Welcome back from that short break. So as we were talking earlier, we're discussing the interest in land. Yes, thank you for coming back to the show. So here we're still getting into the equitable interest. So for the equitable interest, like I said, it's the one that's created by a written agreement under the law. So written agreement, what do I mean? This is where you purchase land from the vendor, and then the vendor, you sign that land sale agreement. However, the vendor does not sign the transfer forms, so they don't go through the whole process of registering the land into your names. So that's why you acquire the equitable interest, and that's not really as recognized as the legal interest. So make sure, like, whenever you purchase land and you enter the land sale agreement, you fulfill the legal obligations of making sure that this particular vendor passes title, in other words, transfers the ownership of land into your names. So when you look at the equitable interest, this also happens in scenarios where you enter the agreement. Let's say you've signed the land sale agreement, however, the vendor unfortunately passes on without transferring, like signing the transfer form so that you can go ahead and register your land. Yes. Also, that there you also recognize as your interest is recognized as an equitable interest. So the only remedy when that happens, let's say you've entered this contract, the land sale agreement, and the person has died, you'll have to approach the administrators of the estate of this particular person. Yes, that's also another process where you're going to let's say talk to the administrator of the estate that you actually enter the land sale agreement, to present your land sale agreement, and ensure that this administrator of the estate goes through the procedure of now signing, because now he has all the full authority. Yes, he has all the authority to pass on the ownership of land to you. Yes, so you make sure that you approach the administration of the estate and see that this land is actually passed on to you and you're registered as the owner of this land. Yes, because when you only purchase the land without actually transferring the land into your names, the other one only becomes a trustee. Yes, the vendor becomes a trustee and they're holding the land for the purchaser. You're, you're holding this land on behalf of the purchaser, so the vendor becomes a trustee for this land. So in other words, as a purchaser, endeavor to make sure that you go through the whole process of making sure that your land is registered, because the legal interest, when you have such an interest in land, it's indefeasible. Like under the law, it's not easily impeached. You cannot easily defeat such an interest in law. Yes. So for the examples of the equitable interest, like I had explained, they are the ones that where someone only enters the contract. Yes, they're created by operation of the law. Like of course, under the courts of equity, equity considers as done that which ought to be done. Of course, where there is already a land sale agreement, the court will consider like already had gone a step, and this person has acquired some sort of interest by even entering that land sale agreement, so it considers as done that which ought to be done. Yes, you've not fulfilled the obligation of actually finally registering this land into your names, but there is already something that has been done. That's why you're capable of coming to court and claiming that you also have an interest. Your interest, though it will be recognized as an equitable interest since it's not registered. So ensure to make sure that your interest is actually registered. So for the equitable interest, you're bringing this claim maybe against a particular person, and it's not really against the world, because in other words, if it's already registered, let's say for the legal interest, that's where you can have a mortgage and have a mortgage registered. So in other words, someone can claim such an interest on the land, but since it's only a land sale agreement, there is nowhere that this person had actually mortgaged this particular piece of land. So when you find out that you purchased land and this person had mortgaged the land, and however you only transacted consent of the owner, the registered owner, so in this particular case it could be the Milo owner. So the Milo owner is aware that you're in their land, however they have their title. So with their consent, you occupy this particular piece of land. You only also have to get consent from the original owner, the Milo owner. Yes. So let's say you're a Chibanja holder, you're on Kabaka's land. Even before you go ahead to make sure that you sell off this land, you sell off the land, because the only way you're going to actually sell the land, you're still going to enter land sale agreement with a purchaser, because you don't have a title to actually have this person registered. You have this person register the land in his or her names. So because even if you're a Chibanja holder on Kabaka's land, there is no way you can, say that you have a title, because it's a title is only the title is the main title, the mother title that the Kabaka has. However, you can maybe acquire a lease. A lease title can be bought. Yes, you can go through the procedure of acquiring the lease, and that's a whole other procedure where you go and apply to the Buganda Land Board, and of course pay registration fees, you pay the tax, and then they give you a specific period of time on when you can lease on this land and have your title. Yes, but it cannot be either a Milo or freehold title. It can only be a leasehold title. So for the Bibanja holders, yes, please know that for you, your interest in land is equitable. It's not as significant or as recognized under the law as the legal interest. So endeavor, like let's say the person is selling to you titled land, make sure that the whole process is going, you've taken all the processes to ensure that this person, that you're registered on that land and you have your certificate of title, because it will save you a lot of trouble. And if you want to know more about this, of course you come and get more information from YPS, since we have a whole real estate project about, and we could really be of help. Of course, we've sold out so many plots of lands plots of land, to so many clients out there. Yes, so briefly, in a nutshell, that's what I can really say about the interest in land. So in this very few minutes left, I would like to also talk about co-ownership of land. So we have people out there who acquired land like in a group, or you acquired this plot of land together with your spouse, and you're out there, you want to have acquired this plot of land. So for you, the types of co-ownership, we have the joint tenancy, or you buy a plot of land. So when you acquire this plot of land, you're both registered on that certificate of title as co-owners. Yes, so that land is owned jointly by two persons. So in other words, you have equal shares in this land. Like you both have rights in this land. In other words, if one of you passes on, you have the right of survivorship. Immediately, the ownership of land goes to the survivor. In other words, like you cannot say, like, when I die, I passed on this land to maybe a beneficiary. Let's say you're two friends, and then one dies, and they're like, now I've passed on the ownership of this land, or to my estate, or to my family. That's not possible. The only person who can acquire full ownership of this land is the surviving co-owner, the surviving person who is on the title. Yes, so immediately the other person passes on, they cancel your name out of the title, and this person remains as the sole owner of this land. So in other words, if you're two people who own land, and in case of anything, and you want to know how you own this land, you can own it jointly, and you all have equal rights to the land. You can use it in any way. You have exclusive ownership to this land. Let's say a family, a couple, you all have rights to enjoy this land equally. Yes, in other words, the only time someone can claim full ownership of this land is when the other person dies, and this one survives, like it's the survivor. In other words, they have that right of survivorship. So that's a whole other way to co-own land. Yes. And then we have the one for tenants in common. This one is where you're like a group of friends, and then you have equal shares in this land. Like you have divided shares in the land. Let's say you know the percentage you contributed to the land. Let's say this one has, like, the whole plot cost 100 million. And then this one contributed 50 million, another one 30, then another one 20. So you all have shares in this land. In other words, your ownership can easily be identified. Yes, the way you can use the land. Of course, the one of 50 million will use maybe a bigger space because they brought in more money. In other words, you can be co-owners of the land and use the land as a group. However, your rights, let's say one of you dies, they can easily be transferred to your estate. You can easily pass on your rights to the person who survived. Like, let's say you have a family, you can pass it on to your wife, to your children. Yes, that one you can easily pass it on to your family. And then also, let's say you can terminate this sort of co-ownership by selling off the property, and you say, like, you know what, let everyone take their share in the property. So you sell off, and then the profits or the money, the sales, out of those sales, you get your share of the property. Yes, and maybe acquire somewhere else. So in other words, for tenancy in common, it's quite different from joint joint ownership. So there is joint ownership of land. So in other words, you have to be sure that are we co-owners in a way that everyone has their equal shares in case something happens, or am I just a tenant in common? Yes, in other words, you have to know whether you have these kinds of shares in this property, or in case of something, what happens to this to the property. Yes, so hope that is very clear to you, my dear viewers. In other words, there are so many rights in land, and of course, as we shall be sharing more and more about this sort of land, this sort of topic, since I told you that it's broad. We shall be looking at other things, the Landlord and Tenants Act, because most of you may be tenants. Yes, there is a lot that we can really talk about land. However, please don't miss the upcoming episode. It will be so good for you. And yeah, thank you so much. Of course, I would like to thank my